So this video is going to just part of a little series which is going to be a bit more about using unusual ingredients and things you can put into soaps that you wouldn't normally think about. They'll be much simpler, maybe containing a few more oils, and you'll be able to give them a try. So what I've got here, you may or may not know, these are called soap nuts. Now there is a compound within these, and I'll pop it on the screen for you so you can see it, and this is basically kind of creates a soapy like feeling and can be used to wash with, which is fantastic. But you can use these within your lye water solution, which makes a new kind of makes an even kind of like soapier soap. So I'm going to show you exactly how to make that lye solution and then pop it into a soap further on. Into my little container here, I'm going to pop my water weight, and that's 103 grams. Now if you're using a big container like this, it's always worth turning it onto its side and pouring from the side. So got 117 there, that is a little bit too much. Now I am going to use citric acid within this soap. Now citric acid will eliminate or help eliminate some of the soap scum that you can get, and it's kind of one of those things that will help you achieve that kind of soap scumminess. But what I want to do is pop in 4 grams into my water. That's 3. 4 grams. And now I am just going to give that a little bit of a stir to make sure that is fully dissolved into my water. Now, acid being an acid, obviously, citric acid being an acid, will consume some of the base. Now, the 4 grams of citric acid that I'm using here will actually consume 2.5 grams of the lye that I'm going to add. So I need to adjust my lye solution with an additional 2.5 grams to account for that citric acid eating some of it up. Now some people will say, yes, it's absolutely worth using. Some people say, don't bother with it. I find that it does make a better bar of soap if you're in a hard water area and you do tend to get kind of lime scale in your kettle. If you're in a nice soft water area, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, so that's all gone into there, which is lovely. So unfortunately it seems like I have misplaced some of the footage for this, but what you're going to do next is make up your lye solution. Now if you have never made up lye solution before, I will point you in the direction of a lye making tutorial with the card on screen here. But otherwise, all you're going to do is make up your lye solution as you normally would, and then pop, say, 5 or 6 of these soap nuts into that lye solution while it's still hot, and allow the whole thing to cool down, and that lye solution will draw out the necessary ingredients and the nice proteins from these soap nuts, and pop it into your lye solution, and then you can move on with making the rest of your soap. So here are all of the oils you're going to need for this particular soap. Now there are a number of them, and I'm trying out a few different ideas because of the price of olive oil at the moment being so expensive. I wanted to try and give a kind of few ideas of what you could use. So we're going to start at the back. Here we've got cocoa butter, we've got avocado oil, grapeseed oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, castor oil, coconut oil, palm oil, and some lard. Now obviously this is responsibly sourced palm oil, and we're obviously using an animal product. Now if you're a vegetarian, you can replace your lard with another solid fat that you might want to use, which could be some additional coconut oil, or you could see about some other kind of hard oils, Babassu. You might want to use some mango butter or some shea butter, something like that. But you can certainly replace that one. I kind of quite like the lard in there because I feel I get a better bar from it. And then I've got a very, very small amount of olive oil, and I'm replacing the additional oils I want with my rapeseed, my avocado, and my sunflower. So those are giving me my kind of liquid oils there as well. Castor oil obviously to retain the bubble. So there's quite a few oils there, but hopefully together they're going to give us a really nice bar. And so what we've got here is our melted oils in our jug. And we're now going to add the soft oils into here, or our liquid oils. Firstly, starting with our avocado oil. Now, I love avocado oil. It gives you some really beautiful soap. There's lots of great benefits of having avocado oil within a soap. You can also add fresh avocado if you like and just get that kind of stick blended in there, but we're not going to in this quite simple soap. We're then going to add in our cocoa butter. Now, this will need to go back in and just get melted down because this is obviously one of the solid oils I'd forgotten. So we do need to pop this back into the microwave and get that melted down. Now, you may have noticed that I've already put the avocado oil in there. Now, cocoa butter does not need a great deal of temperature to melt down. It actually just needs to be slightly above body temperature. So I'm not going to ruin any of the avocado oil that's gone in there by melting this down with that avocado oil in there. But we just want to make sure that all of those little kind of pellets of cocoa butter do get melted down. And this is a deodorized cocoa butter, so it's not going to actually smell of anything chocolatey. So we're going to add our next ingredient in here, which is another soft oil. And we're going to go for our grapeseed oil. Now, I like grapeseed oil. It's a relatively affordable oil and it has some great properties, quite similar, I feel, to olive oil, and I get a nice bar of soap out of it. So we're going to pop our grapeseed oil in here. And because we're using quite a few oils that could be known for our dreaded orange spots, DOS and things like that, we're using them in small proportions and kind of going for an overall liquid soap. So I am going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. I think olive oil in soap is a wonderful thing, and it is one of those oils that I believe you can't really shy away from, but you can reduce it down and bolster with some other liquid oils in there. Next in, we've got some sunflower oil. And I do quite like sunflower oil within a soap, but you do have to be quite careful with it. So there is a small amount of this going in. I think it's, about 15 grams, maybe less than that. There we go. 12 grams of that sunflower oil. So you do not need to use a great deal of it. And again, we're looking at the combination of all of these oils. This is a relatively complicated soap recipe. We've got castor oil going in there, another oil that I do not believe you can leave out of a soap because it helps support the bubble that you're creating with some of those hard oils, the palm and the coconut, and that castor oil helps to support those bubbles, so you get a really nice bubbly bar. But I think what you can do is you can certainly utilize a lot of liquid oils within a soap to help balance out the olive oil and therefore not have to spend quite so much money on olive oil. Whilst you're spending more money overall, you're going to kind of save money per bar in the greater scheme of things, which I think is kind of important there. So that's all my oils gone into there. We're just going to give that a quick stir, and we'll move on next to creating our pine soap.
The next day.
So I actually have left these overnight. So this is our lye solution, and we are going to have to strain this when it goes through. But I just thought it'd be very interesting to see, now that this is cooled, we've got a quite thick lye solution, a little bit thicker than you'd normally be used to. And we've still got all of those bits in it, and there is quite a strong smell to this one. So if you do struggle with the smell of lye and you're putting things into it like this, you might find that you do get a little bit of a smell out of it. And then secondly, we've got our oils here. Now you'll notice something about our oils. They are thick and gloopy, but still relatively thin. Now, what you have to remember about these is if we were to add our lye solution straight into here, okay, we are going to be getting a false trace, and it's going to take a lot of kind of blending in order to get that to work. So what I'm going to do is just pop this straight into the microwave just to get this back down to a liquid state, and then just allow it to cool until we can bring both of them within 10 degrees of one another. So I've just heated everything up, and we've got a 76 degree oils and an 18 degree lye. That's never going to work for me because I like to soap it around 30 degrees, 30 to 40 degrees. So in order to heat my lye solution up, all I'm going to do is take some hot water and pop it into a pan so that I can bring the temperature of the lye solution up safely and under controlled conditions. It's not going into the microwave, nothing's going to happen with all of those bits in there. And I've got a weight on the top there just to weigh it down a little bit. Let me put this little bit of soap in here as well. Just make sure that that stays down in the water. And then what we'll do is we'll wait for both of those to come back up to a temperature, and they'll basically kind of cool down together, and then we'll get them within 10 degrees at around that 40-degree mark, and everything will be hunky-dory. So what I've also got here is some green clay, which I've actually used to anchor my fragrance on. Now for this particular batch, I'm doing a pine scented soap. So I've got some pine fragrance oil in here, and this is not essentials. Now, there is a bit of an argument as to whether essential oils or fragrance oils are better. And I would suggest it's neither. It depends on what you're looking at as far as allergens are concerned. So almost every single essential oil is going to contain an allergen of some sort. Most of them have things like limonene or linalool in them, and a lot of them will have additional allergens in that you have to list on your label. Fragrance oils, for the most part, list all of their allergens easily for you, but also there are a lot of fragrance oils out there which are allergen free, which means if you do suffer with allergies and things like that, a fragrance oil might be a better option for you because you're not going to suffer all of that really kind of tough allergen worry, and you can kind of crack on and just use your soap. So I'm using a pine fragrance oil. This is actually frosted pine from Fizzy Whiz, I think is the company. So all I've done is I've added a tablespoon of my clay along with my fragrance oil, and then I've just allowed that to sit overnight. And you can see it's still quite fluid, but I've bloomed the clay, which is going to add a colour and also the fragrance to it, but it's also going to anchor that fragrance in a little bit more. Now, whilst we're waiting for these to cool down, there are a couple of other things I want to add into my soap. And the first one is going to be some coconut milk. So I love coconut milk in soaps. And basically all I'm going to do is get a little kind of spoon of that into here. I'm also going to add some skimmed milk powder because I am not vegetarian and therefore I'm not particularly worried, and it's got lard in it. So I'm going to use a couple of teaspoons of that. And what I'm going to do is just add my stick blender in, and I'm bumping it. Now, when you hear about burping a stick blender, what we actually mean is just releasing all of the air within that stick blender. Now, because this is sat overnight and it's relatively undisturbed, most of the air bubbles that will have been introduced as I poured it will no longer be in there. So what I'm going to do is pop that in. And give those a good blitz in. Now, the powders are a really nice way of adding milks and stuff to your soaps without adding any extra liquid. We're also going to add into here, because this is a single colour, I'm not doing any swirls, anything fancy, is my fragrance oil and my clay. So you can see there how nice and thick and wonderful that has become. Get all of that out. And we'll just give that. Now, anytime that you lift your stick blender out and you pop it back in, you need to burp it to get rid of any of that extra air in there. I'm going to have a little look here. We're on 39. And 39 on both. Excellent. So these are both ready to go. You need a little strainer, and we're just going to basically pour our lye solution from here through the strainer onto the stick blender. So we're trying to introduce as few bubbles as possible. And you can see there we've still got quite a lot of our soap nuts, and that will actually do another batch of lye. So we've got that in there. Give that a little stir. And when you add all the ingredients to your pot like this, what you will find is that you have to know when trace is occurring. Now, I've literally popped that in. I've given it a quick stir. I've got plenty of working time with this, but I just wanted you to check out the bell of the stick blender here. Okay, can you see that separation starting to happen on the stick blender, and it's all kind of breaking apart? We'll go through emulsion here and we'll show you exactly how that works. So pop my stick blender in, little burp, and a couple of little bursts, give it a stir. It will lighten up, I guarantee you it will lighten up, but the lye solution will always seem a little bit dark. So here is my few blitzes. Now you should just start to see on the bell of that stick blender, it's starting to break apart. So we haven't achieved an emulsion yet. And it's very close, but it still needs a little bit more. Now, the nice thing with a single colour like this is you can literally blitz this until you get to a medium trace. You will not affect the soap in any way, shape or form. Give it a stir. We're in emulsion, but we're quite a thin trace. Another bit of that. I want to get a nice top onto this, so what I want to try and do is get this to a kind of a medium trace. Again, burp your stick blender. So we're definitely at an emulsion, we're definitely at a trace. And by trace, what I'm looking for is it's leaving a mark on the surface of the soap. So this is a very thin trace at the minute, but you can see there is a slight tracing of that soap on the top. But let's just get this a little bit thicker. Yeah, we're getting into kind of thin to medium trace now. You can see it's starting to just leave a little bit more of a trace on the top of the soap. And that's what we're really looking for. We've definitely got a beautiful trace going on there now. I'm just going to give ourselves a little wipe down here. And bring in our mould. And fill our mould up accordingly. Now, as I say, we are going to get a lighter colour out of this, making a mess everywhere. But that's fine, that's what we have cloths for. We give it a little tap down. And if anyone's interested, these are just some old shirts that I use. I cut them up, use them to wipe down like this, and they will go into the washing machine. I give them a quick wash, and then they come back up and get folded, and I just have a renewable source of little cloths. So good tip there for that. Don't need too much of a design on the top, just something quite soft and simple. That will probably do us. And then I just take a little glass rod to which I will swirl that top. We might come back and just do a little bit more on that in a little bit.
The next day.
And so we're on to the day after, and this is fully saponified, and you can see the colour change that we've achieved here. It's a much lighter green. It's a beautiful green colour, single colour, and look at that, beautiful inside. We've got a little bit of a kind of saponification ring around it, so it's like kind of just when it cures, it's going to kind of even out all of those colours. It's got a beautiful fragrance to it. This really kind of like sparkly pine fragrance, lovely colour, and it's an absolutely wonderful soap to use. So if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and helps us make lots more videos for all of you out there. And until next time, soapsters, we'll see you soon. Bye bye.